You're listening to 40 Fit Radio, your source for health, fitness, and lifestyle for the 40-plus community. This is your host, Darren Deaton. Welcome to the 40 Fit Nation. Hey, welcome back to the 40 Fit Radio podcast, and welcome back to the 40 Fit Nation. I'm your host, Coach D, and I've got Coach Trent in the house here this morning.
Good morning, folks.
And we are apologizing first because we haven't been around much lately because we have had the snowmageddon here in Texas.
Snowpocalypse,
whatever it is. We've just had a ton of snow, and I know you northerners and people from over the pond are saying, da-da-da-da-da, you're this and you're that, and you Texans are weak and everything. But let's just see you try to handle 115 degree summer.
Right.
So that's the difference is Texas cold is very moist too. Mm-hmm. Very, very humid. It gets crazy cold. Out of my ranch, it was probably the wind chill was minus 15, minus 20 one day.
Oh, yeah.
I think we were minus 3 in the temp. We just don't normally have that kind of low temps. So, keeping livestock alive and calving calves and doing all that stuff and making sure that God's little children are taken care of is a hard thing to do.
You got to tell us a little bit about Frosty.
Frosty the calf. Frosty the calf it's a heifer calf that was born Sunday afternoon at 3:00 when that big winter storm was coming through and it was snowy. There's a picture of her on my Instagram, and there's a video too where she's just been born literally. And when she hit the ground, her basically, she has all the birthing fluid on her. And when she hit the ground, basically her entire skin was frozen.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just froze.
Right.
I mean, it was that cold to where the wind came by her and whatever moisture was on her was already turned to ice. And so she really struggled for the first couple of hours. I went back to check on her before dark, and she was plumb near froze to death. So I picked her up, I threw her in the truck, threw her in the back of my extended cab flatbed pickup, and drove her to another pasture with a loafing shed that's basically kind of a lean-to shed that breaks the wind.
Yep.
And had the mama cows all follow me, including her mother. And she was crazy cold and just put a bunch of hay around her and tried to get her warmed up, get her stimulated, moving a little bit. And then mama took over from there. The next morning she was alive, and she was doing the best. Her immune system was doing the best to try to get a hold of things. The problem was it was so cold that she didn't go to nursing very quick. So she didn't really nurse a whole lot for the first, I would say, probably 12 to 16 hours, which is bad for a calf. They need to get on their feet, land on their feet, and start nursing. And get that colostrum and get that good antibodies from the mama. That protects them from all the bad stuff in their environment that their mama has. They transfer that to them. And so she'd just been really weak all week. And so on last weekend, I decided to do what's called feed tube her. So I feed tubed her, which basically you stick a tube down their throat carefully. They swallow it down. And then you give them a bolus of like electrolytes. Basically, it's like animal Gatorade.
Right.
You give them a bolus of electrolytes. And then I also gave her what's called a colostrum pack, which is live antibody colostrum that's in a package that would help her immune system. And then the following day, I gave her electrolytes again, and I gave her a small dose antibiotic just because she got what's called scours, which is an intestinal problem, is acid imbalance in their intestine. Sometimes it can be due to a parasite and things like that. But she's doing a lot better. This week, she's fared a lot better. The temperatures have been great here in Texas. I mean, it's been almost like spring and summer almost here. It's crazy. A week later, and we're in the 80s.
Yeah. So, give you an idea. Last Monday, it hit in town, it hit 0, -1, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Right.
For our European friends.
Exactly.
And the next Monday, the next week, it's 75 degrees.
Right. It's crazy. Clear, sunny, 75 degrees, Crazy. So she's doing great. Everything's good. But that kind of leads us to what we're going to talk to today, which is kind of weird, talking about a calf. And what we're going to talk about vitamins and how vitamins can help to boost your immune system, especially during this cold and flu season and also COVID, because we have talked about here as coaches, the vitamins that we take. I've talked about the vitamins that I like to take that are just natural immune boosting, immune supportive vitamins, basically to help support our immune system. So it's important for us to understand first, though, that your immune system is really not supported by vitamins. Your immune system is first supported by all your lifestyle habits.
Yeah.
So that includes first your nutrition. It also includes your sleep, rest, and recovery cycles, how much you sleep, how much you rest, your recovery, your stressors in your life, other comorbidities or health conditions that you might have. And then also, last but not least, very, very important part of it, your genetics. Okay, so those things influence the health or the status of your immune system and how well your immune system is protecting you. You see, your immune system keeps you healthy, should keep you healthy year-round, and it's the key to preventing infection and disease. It's the thing that helps your body recognize when something gets in your body or on your body that it's not supposed to be there, and you're to fight that antigen, we call that pathogen, that thing that's a bad thing, that's a bug that we don't want to be influencing or affecting our system. That is happening real time, every day, 24/7. When you put your hand in if you're out in the garden and you're digging, there's most likely tetani or tetanus in that soil. There's probably also staph. It's everywhere. And so your body naturally just fights that stuff off. So people that become autoimmune compromised or immune compromised, they have autoimmune disorders. They more naturally get infections because they don't have a strong immune system. They can't fight that normal stuff off as well.
Yeah. I kind of think of it, for better or worse, as it's kind of like EMS or, like your emergency services in a city. If it's working correctly, then you've got enough staff on hand to handle all of the different emergencies that are going to happen. They've got the right equipment to get out there and respond to emergencies. And then they've got the right transportation. They can get there on time, efficiently. And then you think about a poor functioning immune system as like a city that's got a bunch of potholes in the streets, or there's too much traffic and it's not well organized so that they can't respond very quickly, or there's not enough first responders, or they don't have the right equipment.
Right.
It's like a disaster, and things compound because they cannot respond appropriately to the initial insult of the antigen or pathogen or whatever inflammation, whatever's happening to the body that's a negative or noxious stimulus.
Yeah, I think of the immune system, the way I think about it is it's basically like a city that's got a fortress around it. It's got a wall around it.
Yeah.
And that wall is a static protective device. In other words, you built the wall, it's there. And it's just protecting so much of the city. And then you've also got maybe soldiers or guys that are out on the walls, and they're basically looking at outposts, and they're guarding the city.
Right.
And those are more active elements of the city's protection. Well, the city's our body.
Yeah.
And it's our system, and the wall and those workers on the wall or soldiers on the wall are the protectors of it. So your immune system it really consists of a complex collection of cells, processes, and chemicals that constantly defend us against invading pathogens, bad bugs, and that would include things like viruses, toxins, and bacteria. And so today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the vitamins that we would recommend here on our podcast, or that are recommended in the research, that help to boost your immune system. But remember what I just said, boost it. I'm not talking about creating your immune system. Your immune system is created by your genetics, by your overall healthy lifestyle habits, your nutrition, all those things that we talked about, your exercise. A healthy immune system gets a lot of exposure to bugs too. In other words, a lot of people think they want to have a healthy immune system by avoiding bugs. Well, maybe some of the really bad pathogens, the things that you don't want to get, like bubonic plague or Black Death or something.
You don't want Ebola.
No, you don't want Ebola. You don't want to, hey, I'm going to challenge my immune system. Hey, you got any Ebola sample, So you don't want to do that. But your strong immune systems generally get bugs a lot.
Yeah, right.
At them. They get darts thrown at them all the time. So that helps to create a strong, healthy, natural internal defense mechanism, and that's what we want. I'm a strong believer that most people should probably, and I know this is not consistent with what other medical professionals might think there, and we could talk about it offline or wherever, but I don't get the flu vaccine. I have always done well fighting the flu just on my own. Now, as I age and I get older, maybe that's something I might consider. But right now I have a healthy immune system. I seem to do well with respiratory type viruses and things normally. I don't have a ton of allergies. So for me individually, it makes sense.
Right.
I believe that your first line of defense is a healthy immune system. And if you're trying to avoid things, inadvertently, you're really missing the boat on what the immune system, how you get a strong immune system to start with.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up playing in the dirt, man.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Now we want to protect all the kids from doing anything of value.
Right. And, we'll kind of, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but think about the past year, if we've got all these people around the world who've been cooped up, avoiding interaction for one disease or one virus, but at the cost of their immune system,
exactly.
right? It could be a high toll on the immune system because you're not getting all the other natural important exposure to this stuff. But
that's it's a whole nother conversation about a philosophy of exposure without danger.
Yeah.
Exposing ourselves to stressors and things like we do in the gym.
That's right.
Without ultimate danger of death or something, and also having a mindset of victor versus fear.
Yeah.
And I think that there's we could have a podcast about that. But let's talk about vitamins. So top on my list is vitamin D. Mm-hmm. Vitamin D acts as a hormone. It's a fat-soluble nutrient that's essential to the health and functioning of your immune system. Vitamin D enhances the pathogen-fighting effects of monocytes and macrophages. Basically, vitamin D has a lot of influence on your white blood cells and is an important part of helping you with your immune response. It also acts as a hormone. It can help to trigger other hormones, which are important hormones for developing a strong body. Hormones like testosterone and insulin growth factor and HGH and estrogen and all these other hormones. It helps with hormone regulation. And so a lot of experts believe that vitamin D actually more acts like a hormone in the body than it does a classical vitamin. And so many people are deficient of vitamin D, and that leads them to having problems with having a weaker immune system. So recommended levels of vitamin D would be somewhere between 1,000 to 5,000 IUs per day based on your own blood levels of vitamin D. So here's a disclaimer first, folks. I am not an MD. I'm not a DO. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I'm not uneducated in this area, but I'm also not an expert in this area. Consult your doctor, have some blood work done, look at your blood work, see what you're deficient in, and supplement where needed.
Right.
If you have some medical conditions that don't allow you to take higher levels of vitamins, minerals, or other types of food stuff because of bad kidney disease or liver problems, liver enzyme issues, or other things, then you have to consult your individual doctor, and you need to do so. All right, there's my disclaimer.
Yeah, there we go.
Cool. But normal levels, some people like to ramp it up and do like 10,000 IU of vitamin D for the first 5 to 7 days and then drop it down somewhere between 1 and 4,000.
Yeah.
I take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D daily. Mm-hmm. And that, according to my blood work, because I do blood work twice a year, according to my blood work, that maintains a good, healthy vitamin D level.
Yeah. Now, vitamin D is also something that the body can synthesize itself, right?
Yes, it does.
With sun exposure.
Correct.
And that's a stimulus for that. So that's something I've noticed when I lived in the Northeast in Connecticut. You go through these long winters where, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job like I was at the time, you go to work and it's pitch black outside.
Yeah.
It's gray all day, but you're in the office anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then you get off work and it's pitch black. And so you have like 4 months at least where you get almost no sun exposure.
Yeah.
And even in the weekends, you're not getting much. So as I learned, I should have been supplementing with vitamin D there.
Well, in the time when respiratory disease infection rates are at the highest or where we're generally less active being outside and getting exposure to UV. Yeah. So that's a bad corollary. And so there was an interesting study that was done in 2019, which was a review of randomized controlled studies in a little over 11,000 people. Supplementing with vitamin D significantly decreased the risk of respiratory infection who were deficient naturally in vitamin D. And so it helped to improve their protectability or their immune system in fighting respiratory infections. And what do we got going on right now? COVID and we're in the flu season. So vitamin D is top on the list, folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the next vitamin would be zinc. And zinc is not actually a vitamin, it's a mineral. And it's commonly added to supplements and other healthcare products like lozenges that are meant to boost your immune system. And zinc is very vital to your immune function. It plays a role in cell development and communication, and also plays a significant role in the inflammatory response, in your body's ability to have an inflammatory response, which is good. That's part of your immune response, is the inflammatory response. We want that.
Yeah.
We just don't want it to go crazy.
That's right. Yeah.
We don't want it to go overly
We want it
crazy.
to be controlled.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so a deficiency in zinc can reduce your ability to fight infection, and especially against respiratory diseases like pneumonia, SARS, things like that. So zinc deficiency affects, according to research, about 2 billion people worldwide, and is very common in older adults. In fact, up to 30% of older adults are considered deficient in this nutrient. So it's important that you get a zinc supplement. Very good for the protection of the respiratory tract and against things like the common cold and, like I said, SARS and other things. So taking zinc long-term is typically safe for healthy adults as long as the daily dosage is under the set upper limit of about 40 milligrams of elemental zinc. Okay. And so we will, in the podcast notes, we'll put some resources where we found some of this information, so you can go to it and further research and validate the information. Okay. But the other thing we want to talk about with zinc is that excessive doses may interfere with copper absorption, which could increase your risk, your infection risk. So don't overdo it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And zinc is also one of those things that some people with a tender tummy, you got to generally take it with food.
Right. Right.
And so, sometimes and obviously you can get a lot of these things from your natural food sources. And so you can be eating proper vegetables and meats, good lean meats, whole foods, basically, and it'll help to support a lot of these things. So,
yeah, this is where it's important. Sometimes people in the strength and conditioning world get a little hung up on macros. We talk about macronutrients when it comes to body composition. And, it's true, like as long as you're eating a balanced, for you and your goals, you're eating the right macros, then you're going to achieve those body composition targets. But this is one of those areas where eating those vegetables and hitting your fiber from natural food sources, not just supplements, is important, because this is where you're getting a lot of these micronutrients, as we call them, your minerals and your vitamins. And so if you're hitting your macros, but you're only eating a little bit of vegetables every day, but you're getting your other macros from supplements, like a fiber supplement and stuff, it's not as good.
Right.
It's not the same thing as eating more
whole
broccoli
foods.
and more whole foods.
Yeah, I mean, really good food sources for zinc would be meat, first of all. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Shellfish would be the second thing. That's a low-calorie source of zinc. You just have to watch the cholesterol levels and based on your cholesterol. Legumes, chickpeas, beans, seeds, nuts, dairy, eggs, whole grains. We just kind of go down that list. So those are good natural sources of zinc. You can also, like we said, basically support your vitamin and mineral intake through your natural diet, which is more important than supplementing. Supplement is merely that. It's a supplement. It's not meant to replace a bad diet. If you eat Cheerios and Pop-Tarts and coffee all day long, then that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
I love Pop-Tarts.
They spray it. They spray a few little tiny bits of vitamin in there.
Yeah, and they fortified with vitamins and minerals.
That's right. Yeah. A vitamin spray.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to number 3, and that would be vitamin C. Obviously, everybody knows about vitamin C. It's probably the most popular supplement taken to protect against infection due to its important role in immune health. So vitamin C, it is very important for various immune cells and enhances your ability to protect against infection. It's also necessary for cellular death, which helps your immune system healthy by clearing out old cells, which a lot of people don't know that, and replacing them with new ones. And so vitamin C also functions as a powerful antioxidant, protecting against damage induced by oxidative stress, which occurs with the accumulation of reactive molecules and what we call free radicals. We hear about free radicals and oxygen and antioxidants. And so those are things that come at your body and actually cause oxidation of your cells, which causes cellular aging. The whole body is aging, and the aging process is an oxidative stress process.
Yeah.
So supplementing with vitamin C has been shown to reduce the duration and severity of upper respiratory tract infections, which is important. So how much vitamin C should we take? The upper limit of vitamin C daily is about 2,000 milligrams. Supplemental daily dosages typically range somewhere between 250 to 1,000 milligrams. I take 1,000 milligrams minimum per day of vitamin C. So, and I take it in an oral format and, in a pill format.
Yeah, right.
Then I also get natural sources of vitamin C. So, again, talking about natural sources of these vitamins and minerals to start with, okay?
Which surprising, I remember when we talked to our friend Robert Santana about this, one of the highest natural sources of vitamin C is bell peppers. I think it was red bell peppers,
I know,
right?
It was red bell peppers. Yeah, I remember that.
And here's the key, though.
And it's low sugar, too.
Low sugar, which is nice. Yeah, exactly. It's more, I think it's far more than in an orange, let's say, which we typically associate with vitamin C. But one thing you have to watch out for is that it is fresh bell peppers. If you slice it and you let it sit out, then you can oxidize that vitamin C. So it's it will not be as available. So it's fresh bell peppers. So just, rinse it off and just eat the whole thing. Don't even bother cutting it.
Sure. Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Yeah, you want to just fresh foods again. Fresh foods.
Yeah.
So let's talk about vitamin B. Now we're going to talk about vitamin B. It's one we've all heard about. And B complex is a great vitamin because it has all of the vitamin Bs in it. So it has B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, and B12. So it's a whole complex of vitamins. Vitamin B complex helps prevent infections and helps support and promote cell health, growth of red blood cells, energy levels, good eyesight, healthy brain function, good digestion, healthy appetite, proper nerve function, yada, 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 yada. It does a lot of stuff. Now, we can get vitamin B from our food sources again, but vitamin B is a very important vitamin in this list to help boost your immune system. So recommended dosages for B complex are a little bit more complex, thus the name B complex, because you've got all these different B vitamins in there. So it varies in the B vitamin itself. So like for women, the B1 recommendation is 1.1 milligrams. For men, it's 1.2. B2, 1.1 milligrams. For men, it's 1.3 milligrams. So you just have to go down the list, basically. B12 is 2.4 micrograms for women, and for men, it's 2.4 micrograms. It varies on gender, and it also varies because it's a complex of vitamins. So if you buy a good off-the-shelf vitamin source that's B complex, it should have a good balance of all these different B vitamins for you.
Yeah, most of the vitamins that I've seen on the shelf that are good quality brands are going to give you roughly the recommended daily allowance, the RDA, of all of these vitamins, and which you can easily look up. The RDA is published. You can find it all over the internet.
Yep. Some other vitamins that you can use, okay? So this would be like the fifth one. We're going to stop counting here because I get bad in counting. So vitamin E. Vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant. It can be very helpful in supporting your immune system. Natural sources of vitamin E would be, think high-fat plant foods such as peanuts, peanut butter, sunflower seeds, oils such as safflower oil, soybean oil, hazelnuts, those types of foods. That's where you get high vitamin E resources from. So vitamin E would be another one. Vitamin A, it's an infection fighter and comes in two forms generally. It'll come in animal foods such as fish, meat, and dairy, and or from plant carotenoids. Tuna is a great source of preformed vitamin A. When it comes from carotenoids, it would come from vegetables like carrots, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, butternut squash, cantaloupe, and dark green leafy vegetables. Okay, so vitamin A is good too.
Yeah.
Folic acid. Another way it's called is folate.
Yeah.
Folate 2 or folic acid. Folate is the natural form of folic acid, and folic acid is the synthetic form. And it's often added to food because of its health benefits. To get more folate, you want to add more beans and lentils into your diet. Put those things on your plate regularly. Also, avocados are a very good natural source of folate. So avocados would be good. Sometimes you'll see it in foods like enriched pasta, enriched bread, enriched rice. You'll see folate in there also. Another thing that's really important in one of the mineral areas is iron. If you are iron deficient, then you need to be taking some iron, okay? Now, you only know you're iron deficient basically if you do proper blood work. and actually see if you have an iron deficiency. I do. I have a natural iron deficiency because of a condition called beta thalassemia. It's a blood disorder. And so I take iron. I take 50 micrograms of iron per day. And it's a iron supplement that I take every single day, and it helps. But sometimes if you have a gentle tummy, it can be hard on you. So you have to make sure that you take it with food. But iron naturally comes from red meats, chicken, turkey, sardines, oysters, clams, mussels, light tuna, beans, broccoli, kale. Iron fortified cereals will sometimes have iron in it too. So
now I've heard about you can increase some of your iron consumption through cooking with cast iron. Is that a significant source?
I don't know. I'd have to read the research on that.
Yeah.
I mean, would the cast iron emanate some iron? I don't know, out of it.
Yeah, I know there's that'd be an interesting question we'll have to look into is because cast iron can that help? But yeah, I know I know some women too can suffer from iron deficiencies.
Yes.
From menstruation.
Menstruating.
So, yeah. So it's something to look into especially if your energy levels are low. If you get cold all the time,
exactly,
might be an iron deficiency.
If you're very, very fair skinned, Northern European, you got to have your iron checked. Selenium. Selenium comes from basically seafoods, meat and liver, poultry. Cottage cheese is a high source of selenium. I like one thing because it's easy for me. I have a product of mixed nuts that I like to buy.
Yeah.
And in the mixed nuts, it has Brazil nuts. They're the big nuts.
Right.
Well, one Brazil nut is 100% of your natural daily needed selenium.
Oh, really?
So I'll eat one
Yeah.
Brazil nut every single day.
Yeah.
And that's your natural, that's your selenium for the day. And it's a natural resource of selenium. So,
there we go.
So yeah, I like to do that. So there's a lot of other things that you could take on this list. I mean, there's a ton of other things you could take on this list. There are some things that you can take that are plant-sourced agents that are good for short-term usage, things like golden seal root, echinacea, elderberry. Those are plant-sourced anti-inflammatories and antivirals and immune boosters, but some of those things should not be taken long-term. So you really need to consult your doctor or go online and look at good resources for those nutrients that can be used to help fight infections, but they're very effective. Like golden seal root's very effective. Echinacea is very effective. And you can find those things sometimes at your local really good Whole Foods stores or also really good vitamin shops, like places like Sunflower and places like that. Okay, so we've talked about selenium, we've talked about zinc, we've talked about iron, we've talked about vitamin D, we've talked about B complex, we've talked about
vitamin C, vitamin A,
vitamin E.
Yeah.
All of these are great vitamins and minerals to support your natural immune system. But then again, remember, a whole foods, healthy diet mixed with a healthy lifestyle is the key here, folks.
Yeah.
That's the foundation. And then we supplement with all these other things to ensure that we're getting and we're topping it off, basically.
Yeah.
We're topping it off.
Yeah, I think about all right. So here's my layman's take, right? And I truly am a layman on this.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, I am too.
I'm not super well read on the literature, and I'm not a health professional. But my layman's take on this is it's kind of like when we talk about creatine as a supplement.
Absolutely, yeah.
Creatine is a great supplement. We know it works. Lots of studies on confirming that it does work. But creatine is there to basically give you that little bit of creatine that your body doesn't synthesize naturally, right? So you supplement with creatine to maximize your levels, right? You always have some baseline level. Some people have a high baseline, and so when they take creatine, it doesn't really do anything because they already have a high baseline. But most people have a baseline that is below the maximum amount of creatine that their body could use, so to speak. Well, it's kind of the same thing for these vitamins, right? Like when you take these vitamins, you're already getting them through your natural diet. That's the key in your lifestyle, but you may have a lower baseline in some areas than other people, where it does help.
Iron would be a good example.
Yeah, iron being a good example.
Right.
So, again, my layman's perspective is there's a couple ways you can do this. Because if you go buy a whole bunch of vitamins, this stuff can get expensive very quickly, right? And there's a whole huge industry backed by dubious claims that
Sure.
wants to take your money,
Sure.
right? And will tell you all about. And
They're
you have
all
to-
the best.
And you have to be careful too. Like there are some things like, so for instance, I used to be a vegetarian and I got better. I got better. But
That's another podcast.
one of the issues I ran into is like you read about dark leafy greens are very high in calcium.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. Well, however, a lot of them have oxalates in them, which binds to calcium and makes it it's not bioavailable.
Right.
So this stuff can happen with vitamins. And so you have to be careful about what supplements you're choosing to take because some of them aren't what you think they are.
Correct.
And they don't work the way that you think they do, right? And that's why, in general, whole foods tend to work much better is because when you eat a balanced diet, you get all of these things in the right chemical forms that you need for your body. So I think there's a couple ways you can do this. Number one, you can keep it simple. Take a multivitamin.
Correct. Yep.
Take a good quality multivitamin. Now, the downside here is that a lot of the multivitamins that I see out there they don't have either high enough amounts of certain vitamins.
Correct.
Like I'm looking at Centrum, just the basic Centrum for adults, and it has vitamin B6 in it, and it has vitamin B12 in what looks like
Which are the two most important.
the most important, and that looks like they give you the RDA for those two.
Right.
However, it does not have any of the other B vitamins in it.
Right.
It has a little bit of biotin. You know, it may or may not have, it has 1,000 IUs of vitamin D. That may not be enough
Right. For you.
for you. If you take 5,000 a
Right.
day, you're going to need 5 Centrums to get it, and that might put you over for other
Correct.
vitamins. So a good multivitamin may or may not help, right? And in fact, you might be getting a lot of stuff that you actually don't need that
Correct.
you end up just flushing out.
Yeah.
So I think the other approach you could take that's a little bit more complicated but probably the better approach is to actually do some blood work, figure out what you need,
Right.
and then go buy just those supplements. Buy a high
That's what I
quality
do.
vitamin D if that's what you need.
Yep.
Buy some iron if that's what you need. And if you don't need it, don't take it.
Yeah.
I know people that take like dozens of vitamins and they spend hundreds of dollars a month
Right,
on this
right.
stuff, and it's
And they're not efficient. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
how much of that stuff are they really taking advantage of?
Yeah, I mean your immune system does a great job of naturally protecting your body. So let it do that, but support it. And the way you support it is exactly like Trent's saying, and that is number one, a whole foods diet built off of really good natural organic whole foods, free source whole foods, free range meats, very good quality, high quality food, as high quality as you can afford.
Yeah, right.
And then number two, supplement where needed. And that's exactly what I do. Do my blood work twice a year. I'm low in some of these areas, so I supplement these areas with I take about 5 or 6 different vitamins per day. Now, I'll list the ones I take. Well, I take more than that, but I take a prostate formula that's a series of different things like saw palmetto extract and other things.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a podcast on prostate health, guys, because we need it. But we're going to bring an expert in for that. Number 2, I take B complex. I take vitamin C. I take zinc. I take vitamin D, which D3. And then I also take selenium. And I take quercetin too for heart health.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
heart function. And so those are the vitamins that I take. I also every now and then will do a beet formula that's a liquid that you can put in like water and stuff. Beet formula, which has natural nitric oxide in it for blood pressure regulation.
Yeah.
And so, but those are the things that I take regularly almost every single day. The nitric oxide I don't take every single day. I probably should do that as a supplement form. But those are the vitamins and minerals that I take every single day. Iron too. I forgot, but I take iron too. So, but everybody's a little different, so you just got to figure out what works. But these are the major vitamin and minerals that we know will help to support a healthy or even a non-healthy immune system. It can't hurt.
Right.
So these will really help to support your immune system.
Yep. This is just the extra little, 5% to make you better. But one other thought here. One of the reasons I like the individual supplements and really doing the work to figure out what you need specifically is that you can focus on buying higher quality supplements there and get your money's worth.
Sure.
Because unfortunately, the vitamin industry
and supplement industry as a whole
supplement industry as a whole, if you go back to
unregulated.
Yeah, friend, it's unregulated.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, many times if you find the discount or the cheap vitamin product, it may or may not actually have what it says is on the label. And the only way to know is to lab test it.
Right.
Sometimes it's just it's a pill full of rice powder.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But you can do a little bit of research, and if you need a quality vitamin D supplement, let's say, you can do some research and figure out, hey, what are some good brands that are reputable? Some of them even have independent lab testing that they do to confirm that they have what they say they have in there. And that's easier to do when you just take a few targeted supplements. I don't know how high quality the multivitamins are. And again, you may have an issue with just getting enough of what you need and not too much of what you don't need with that. So,
no, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining the 40 Fit Radio podcast, and thanks for being part of the 40 Fit Nation today. If you want to check us out, you can check us out on Instagram at 40 Fit Radio, Facebook, 40 Fit Nation. You can email us, info@40fit.com, and Trent is at Marmalade Cream on Instagram, and I am at Dr. Deaton. Have a great day. Go out there and boost your immune system by making sure that you have, number one, healthy food sources. Number two, good sleep, recovery, rest, and exercise. And then number three, supplement where needed with healthy vitamins and minerals. Take care, guys.
Adios.